So you were 11, I think, when this film
Yeah.
came out. Tell me about the first time you saw it, where you saw it, and the kind of experience that it gave you.
Um, I can't talk about this experience without involving a member of the audience, who's Mike, who's there, who I went to see Raiders with the first time, who kind of like said, "You've got to come and see this film," and it's like, okay, I'll go and see it. And I didn't really know entirely what I was in for at the time, and we went to see it at the Odeon in Newcastle, which sadly is no more. But at the time, it was like our multiplex, our cinema, and and it was just, yeah, it was an epiphany. It was that thing of just being astounded and astonished and coming. It changed my life. It was a combination of seeing Raiders at the cinema and seeing the making of Raiders on TV. At this pretty, I don't know whether it may have been weeks apart, it may have been days apart, I don't know. But there was a documentary on TV, The Making of Raiders of the Lost Ark, by a filmmaker called Phil Schumann, who had been invited by Spielberg to come along and basically just film the entire process. And what came from that was one of the best documentaries about the making of a film ever made, and certainly I'd ever seen at that point. And a combination of seeing that and seeing the film and understanding that made that was the epiphany. Was like, okay, that's what I want to do for a living. That's how I want to spend the rest of my life, doing what they do, because it looks great fun.
And did you have the making of book, the Raiders of the Lost Ark making of book by Derek Taylor, which is
I didn't
another
have it that time.
fabulous piece of
Back,
literature?
back
It
in,
is fabulous. Don't
back in
lie.
that day, getting hold of those kind of materials wasn't easy. We didn't have the glory of eBay to go and like track these things down, which I have since done and got the book, and it's a great book. But at the time, no, it was trying to come by these materials to support the films and things was kind of tough.
Ah,
You know,
I had it. And I had the illustrated screenplay, which had Spielberg's little
how
kind of
at you?
It's very cool. You can buy it on eBay. So were you a Spielberg fan at the time? I mean, what was your kind of relationship to cinema? I mean, was your mate Michael, was he the Spielberg fan?
Very much. I think a lot of my passion. Well, first of all, I saw Star Wars when I was 7, 8, whenever it was. It was my sister's birthday treat, weirdly, to go and see Star Wars. I don't know if she fully appreciated it, but I certainly did, and that made me want to see films. It didn't make me want to make films; it made me want to see films. And from that point on, it was like I had to go to the cinema. And then I met Mike, and it was clear that we had a common passion for seeing movies and going to the cinema and all the same kind of things. And then Raiders came into our lives, and yeah, it was. I'd say that I wasn't fully aware of who Spielberg was at the time. I was too young to have seen Jaws at the cinema or stuff like that. Because as I recall, Jaws, when it first came out in the UK, was a double A, and then it got reduced to an A at some point. But anyway, I hadn't seen Jaws at the cinema. I hadn't seen Close Encounters yet, so I wasn't fully into who Spielberg was. And then I saw the documentary, I saw the film, and I was like, okay, I recognize this guy. I want to check out more of his work and such like. And definitely, my friendship with Mike was part and parcel of that. Was what made it happen.
So how did that translate into you wanting to make films? Did you have a Super 8 camera at that time? Did you go and buy one or get your parents to buy you one as a result?
Mike's mom had one. Literally, I don't know. As I recall it, like literally, we saw Raiders. A week later, we went to his mom and asked if we could borrow the Super 8 camera, and after that, we just started making films together. And and most of those films started out as being kind of Raiders rip-offs, basically. It's like, how can we make our own little Indiana Jones films in his back garden?
And who had the leather jacket and the fedora then?
It kind of changed. It started off. It was kind of like I got to play the hero, but he got to direct the films, and then maybe we swapped around like later on. But so yeah, it was a funny experience. Like we didn't even bother to take the washing off the washing line. We'd literally just go out and film in the back garden. And the first film that we made, and it is literally just like two guys meet in supposedly the jungle, and just kick the shit out of each other, and then that's it. That's it. That's the film. But like the washing lines in the back, because there was only two of us making it, none of the two of us never appear in the same shot because one of us had to be holding the camera, so we didn't have a tripod at the time. So it's like there's only one of us in the shot at the same time. It's like 2 minutes of just, hey, we meet in the back garden, we pretend it's the jungle. Don't ignore the fence, ignore the washing line, ignore the neighbors. It doesn't matter. Have a fight and put some Raiders music on top of it. Away you go.
And you never get your sister involved to be the heroine?
No, we never. Well, we dragged Mike's dad into a few things, but to play, Chief Goon #1, But we didn't drag too many families into it. But what we did do was, like, after we got them all done, and we'd put the music on like cassette and try and time starting the cassette with starting the projector and see if you could get roughly in sync because it didn't have sound, and then screen them to our families who I think were vaguely amused by it all. So, when are you going to get a real job?
And how many times would you say you've seen it since? And what's your kind of reaction to it now that you're a kind of professional filmmaker as opposed to somebody in the back garden with your mate's dad's camera?
I've lost count of the amount of times I've seen it. And my reaction to it is very similar to the way I first saw it. I'm excited about seeing it tonight. Any opportunity to see it on the big screen. We went to see it at the IMAX last year. Really excited about that. The year before that, I went to see it at the Academy in LA. It was the first screening of the digital print, and it was just like, so exciting about that. And so I still, it's a film I still get excited about.
So what makes it so exciting and so special for you? I mean, there's a clip in Doomsday, you kind of put the Ark in there, and I mean, what is it about the film? What does it give you?
I don't know. It's kind of like the Midas. Anything that has touched Raiders is gold. That's why I managed to cast Paul Freeman in Centurion. It was just the opportunity to work with somebody who worked on Raiders, and ask him, did he swallow that fly or not? He denies it, but he's lying. He so swallows the fly. You will see he swallows the fly. So it's I don't know. It's just everything about it is still a mystery to me that I want to meet the creators along the way, and I managed to very, very briefly meet Karen Allen and Robert Watts and people like that, and it's just like just try and get the Raiders stories from them. So
still no Spielberg.
No Spielberg yet. Maybe one day.
And you were saying that earlier that one of the reasons you like it is because it's such a kind of rough and ready movie. I mean, Spielberg, he had made 1941 before this, which was a kind of bloated, over-budget movie, and people didn't really want him to make a film again. They were kind of slightly concerned that he was going to do the same thing.
It's kind of hard to believe now, but he'd had what was considered a flop, critically and commercially, and his career wasn't in a great place. And luckily, George put faith in him and said, "I've got this little idea, and how do you fancy doing it? But you've got to do it for this budget on this schedule." And what's great about it is Spielberg stuck to those rules, and he did it kind of in a hurry. They did it really fast. They did it on a budget, and because of that, there's quite a lot of mistakes and just things that crept through the net. And it's a lot of people have talked about it over the years. Is that there's crew and stuff like that in the background of shots and things. I'm not going to mention where because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And part of it is obviously the high def revolution reveals these things worse than they were ever before. You might, I don't know, apparently we're seeing a 35mm print tonight. So it might not be so glaring, but last time we saw it on the IMAX in digital perfection, I was really kind of shocked. It was like, Jesus, that's the entire crew like standing in the background. they're sunbathing, and I'd never seen that before. But I don't know, there's something about its charm that it was made just from pure love and passion and made in a hurry, and it was just like the energy that went into it comes out every time you watch it. And it, if it was too slick, if it was too perfect, I just don't think it would have the same feel to it. It feels handmade. It feels handcrafted.